How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. From a real photo discovered on a lost man's camera to a chilling picture of the Amityville children, we take a look at these real photos with very disturbing backstories. But just quickly before we get into it, hit that subscribe button for more chilling content just like this.
The man in this photo with the charismatic smile and dishcloth over his shoulder was once described as the very definition of heartless evil. It's none other than notorious serial killer Ted Bundy. Bundy was jailed for the first time in 1975 for aggravated kidnapping and attempted criminal assault. He then became a suspect in several unsolved homicides in multiple states. While facing murder charges in Colorado, Bundy managed to escape, committing 3 more murders before he was caught again in Florida in 1978. Bundy eventually confessed to committing 30 homicides between 1974 and 1978, shortly before his execution on the 24th of January 1989. Despite the confession, many think his victim count was probably a lot higher, some even suggesting that it may have been in excess of 100. The woman, also pictured in this photo, is believed to have been a neighbour of Bundy's who, at the time, would have had no idea how close she had actually come to such a cold-blooded killer. This photo supposedly shows the footprints of criminals who made a hasty escape from a haunted house. The person who posted the picture online claims their father received a phone call from a man named Arthur, who lived next to the family's summer house. Arthur said that during the night he had seen 2 people lurking around the house, but they ran off before he had a chance to investigate. In the morning, he found 2 sets of footprints leading to a broken window. He decided to enter the house to take a closer look. Inside, there were even more footprints, some of which led to another broken window, indicating that whoever was in the house had left very suddenly. Sometime later, the poster's father and brother went to the house to see if anything had been stolen. Once inside, they saw that the footprints went in 2 separate directions. One set led to where the family kept some old silverware, while the others led to a 200-year-old fiddle that was hanging on the wall. The tracks seemed to meet in the middle of the living room where the silverware and fiddle were found lying on the floor. Then, just as Arthur had suggested, the footprints led to a different window where the burglars had made a hasty exit. About 2 weeks later, the family was contacted by 2 men who claimed to have been plagued by terrible nightmares ever since they had broken into the old house. They pleaded for forgiveness and offered to pay for any damages that they had caused. While the family never found out exactly what had scared the men into leaving the house so quickly, they had always suspected that the house was haunted. After the break-in, the house was sold twice. Each time, the new owners complained of strange happenings, disembodied voices, cold spots, and objects seemingly moving on their own. Thinking that the resident spirits weren't happy with the new owners, the poster's uncle decided to buy the house back, and it's now once again in the possession of the original family. In April 1992, Chris McCandless hitchhiked his way to the small town of Healy, Alaska. Then, with little equipment or food, he began to trek along an old mining road known as the Stampede Trail. It was McCandless's dream to disappear into the wilderness and live simply off the land. However, it wasn't long before things started to turn bad. In September, just 6 months after he started his adventure, a hunter found his body in an abandoned bus that was used as shelter along the rugged and isolated trail. This photo, which seemingly shows McCandless in good spirits, was found undeveloped on his camera and is one of the last known photographs of the adventurer. Along with several pictures, a journal was discovered that detailed McCandless's time in the wilderness. In July, he mentioned that he tried heading back to civilization, but was forced to abandon his plans as the Teklanika River had swollen, blocking his only escape route. On the 30th of July, his journal entry read, "Extremely weak, fault of potato seed, much trouble just to stand up, starving, great jeopardy." While most believe that McCandless simply starved to death, some have suggested that poisoning from local plants may have contributed to his demise. His final journal entry was made on day 107. It simply read, "Beautiful blueberries." After that, the next 6 entries contain no words, only slashes. The woman seen in this photo out enjoying the fresh air on a sunny afternoon is actually Myra Hindley, one of England's most notorious serial killers. The photo was taken by her partner, Ian Brady, in the area where the pair had buried several of their victims. The terrible crimes committed by Myra Hindley and Ian Brady came to be known as the Moors murders. Hindley met Brady while working at a chemical distribution company. The two began dating, and it wasn't before long they started discussing how they could commit the perfect murder. In total, they took the lives of 5 children, all aged between 10 and 17. The pair was eventually arrested after Hindley's brother-in-law witnessed their final murder and reported it to the police. Hindley, who was described by the press as the most evil woman in Britain, was never released from jail despite appealing her life sentence several times. She died on the 15th of November 2002. Brady was declared criminally insane and confined to a high-security hospital, where he died on the 15th of May 2017. This photo of John, Alison, Mark, Dawn and Ronald Jr. DeFeo appears to show nothing unusual at first, just a happy family posing for the camera. However, the truth is that this picture hides a very dark secret. At around 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday the 13th of November 1974, Ronald Jr. burst into a local bar screaming, "You gotta help me, I think my mother and father are shot." A small group quickly rushed to the DeFeo's residence, where they found that his parents were indeed dead. The police were called, and upon arriving they discovered that the remaining 4 DeFeo children were also deceased. Ronald Jr. claimed that his family had been killed by a mob hitman, so the police decided to take him into custody for his own protection. However, they soon discovered inconsistencies with DeFeo's story, and the following day he confessed to the killings. DeFeo was eventually convicted of 6 accounts of second-degree murder. These terrifying events formed the prelude for one of the most well-known haunting cases in American history, the Amityville Horror. In December 1975, George and Kathy Lutz bought the DeFeo house, which was located at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. Despite being warned by the agent of what had happened in the house, they couldn't resist it as it was just $80,000. It had 5 bedrooms, a swimming pool, and even a boathouse that was located on a canal. The couple and their 3 children soon moved in, with much of the DeFeo's furniture still inside. The book, The Amityville Horror, which supposedly tells the true story of the Lutzes, describes how a family friend insisted that they have the house blessed before they moved in. George organised a priest to perform the ceremony, and he arrived just as the family were unpacking their belongings. As the priest flicked the first holy water and began to pray, he heard a deep voice say, "Get out." He left the house and didn't tell the Lutzes what had happened. During their stay, the Lutzes allegedly experienced many terrifying things. Soon after moving in, their 5-year-old daughter Missy began talking to an imaginary friend, a demonic pig-like creature with glowing red eyes named Jody. In the early morning of Christmas Day 1975, George went to check on the boathouse. On his way back to the house, he looked up and saw Missy at her bedroom window. Standing behind her was Jody, her imaginary friend. George ran upstairs only to find Missy fast asleep as her empty rocking chair slowly rocked back and forth. A few days later, the family discovered cloven hoof prints in the snow outside the house. On another occasion, Kathy was said to have woken with red welts on her chest while levitating 2 feet in the air. She also started having vivid nightmares about the murders, and the children all began to sleep on their stomachs just as the murdered DeFeo children had been found. The Lutz's final night in the house was in January 1976, just 28 days after they had moved in. During a final attempt to bless the house themselves, the family described what happened to them as too frightening and declined to give an account of what actually occurred that night. However, the story gets even creepier. This chilling photo was allegedly taken on the 2nd floor landing of the Amityville house in 1976. Gene Campbell, a photographer who was working alongside famed paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, had set up an automatic camera that took infrared pictures. The camera managed to capture this photo sometime during the night. The figure seen peering through the door is believed by many to be the ghost of 9-year-old John DeFeo, who was murdered by his brother Ronald Jr. This picture of John on the right with his elder brother Mark shows how eerily similar his appearance is to the ghost seen in the black and white photo. In fact, George Lutz was so confident that the photo was authentic that he showed it on the Merv Griffin show in 1979. Before we get to that number one spot and take a look at a chilling crime scene photo, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you won't miss a thing from our channel. This creepy photo was taken outside apartment 213-924 North 25th Street in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was the home of the Milwaukee monster, Jeffrey Dahmer. Dahmer, one of America's most notorious serial killers, murdered 17 men and boys from 1978 to 1991. He was eventually arrested after he offered a man named Tracy Edwards $100 to keep him company at his apartment. Upon entering the apartment, Edwards noted a foul odor and several boxes of hydrochloric acid on the floor. It soon became apparent to Edwards what Dahmer's intentions were, and he managed to escape through the front door after asking Dahmer if he could use the toilet. Edwards flagged down a police car and, after explaining what had happened, agreed to accompany the police back to Dahmer's apartment. There, the police officers found evidence of several murders and quickly detained Dahmer. This photo shows investigators removing the refrigerator from his apartment, which was said to contain a human head and 2 human hearts.
If you want more creepy photos with chilling backstories, then check out that video right there. Leave us a comment down below with your thoughts about some of these photos featured in this video. Hit that thumbs up button as well. And that's it from me. I'll see you all next time.